Welcome, Pisces. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot, getting ready to read your cards. I'm going to start with the Wild Unknown archetype. And for you, I've pulled Thanatos. And this card is hard to summarize, but it often is subtitled Death. Death is a huge, vast subject, and in this context, it is about its response to life, its ever-presence in our lives. And one of the simplest ways of thinking about death in this way is as we grow new cells, we grow every day, our mind and body are creating new life, regenerating. When we take a bath, the old skin is washed away, and no matter how often you bathe, that ring around the tub is the evidence of dead cells, dead body, old skin that is literally being scaled off every day. So this is absolutely about the ever-presence of death as transformation, constantly changing, constantly being in an environment where this complexity of death fuels a kind of truth, a wisdom, and being in the presence of that, whether it's through the passing of someone or it is the experience of some kind of loss, is humbling. But if one has faced death at any level, particularly as a witness, one can face anything. And that's important because death definitely takes us to the verge, to the edge of the underworld. And we fortunately feel ourselves blessed to be able to return to the land of living, but we are changed. And that grieving, that mourning can take years. It can, the grieving and mourning can take a long time, but the awareness that that presence, if it's an individual, is always with us, even as eventually that presence may move on. From this crystal spirit, I pulled the pink sapphire. How interesting, because the pink sapphire is talking about forgiveness. It's talking about clearing away the past. And grieving, mourning, do just that in many ways. They clear away the emotional constructs, the obligations, the contracts that may have existed between us and another. But it's also about creating the space for love, for giving and receiving, particularly as it refers to the healing up of relationship wounds. This can also have a lot to do with scarcity. So for many of you, it isn't just love that we aspire to welcome into our lives. It's also some kind of an abundance. And this forgiveness can be attached to forgiving yourself as you realize the truth of your past in which you didn't believe you were deserving of the abundance you sought. This is forgiving yourself for not knowing enough, not doing enough, or being remorseful or regretful over an action you took in ignorance. But this is releasing that sense that you had to be perfect, you have to do everything right. This is not about that. This is about forgiving yourself, accepting your human flaws, and accepting as well that you are learning, have learned from these experiences in which you can see the truth of your experience in releasing those experiences. Very interesting. Okay, so in your presence, we have the Hermit card. And as I automatically do this, I realize I'm trying to do this a little differently. I'm starting with the past, going to the present, and the immediate future. So many of us are healing from the past. I find for my brain that it's easier to move in a sequential way so as to not confuse myself, because this stuff is beyond our linear comprehension and conception of time and space. So I'm trying to simplify the process for our easier communication. So in the past, the Lord of Swords is describing the tremendous strength and courage it has taken you to embark and stay the course on this healing journey. It required you to neutralize a lot of your judgments, self-judgments about being good enough or doing the right thing, or where you where you failed in many ways. Because I often think we come to our healing journeys, particularly when it regards relationships, in a kind of blaming way, in a way where we feel betrayed, disappointed, let down, as if it is dependent on the action of another. And through this aspect of your healing journey, you came to terms with your behaviors, your language, your words, your choices, and your responsibility for those, and how things ended, how things changed. And this often was resulting in real loss, and the loss in relationships in whatever form was required an incredible detachment from your emotions around this in order to get to the truth, which you were consciously seeking out. I believe for many of you, this was a very magical experience, facing these fears, being as honest as you could be, because that sense of clear-eyedness really grows as you continue on this journey. We keep going back and seeing new things that were on us, not on the person we believe disappointed us or let us down or left. In the present, the Hermit card is showing how you carved out this beautiful sacred sanctuary as a result of your facility with this process of healing, this process of being brutally honest with yourself, the process of allowing yourself to be honest, which showed you not to be the superpower that sometimes we think we are or want to be, but the human being that you truly are, the flawed individual, the one who really didn't know any better at the time, and that it's okay, that did things that you're not proud of, you may even be ashamed of or guilty about, but that it really was okay to release not only that loss, but the emotions that go along with it that aren't appropriate. And as an act of forgiveness, really is the act that releases these relationships or experiences of loss with love. Love for self, respect for self, and compassion for others. So that is what helped you to carve out this healing, this sacred space, this space you can always go to seek the answers you're looking for, to find your own authority in your own experience. And that experience you're showing me was always about the truth, guided by the stars, but always the truth. So there is this connection to divine experience, divine expression, divine intervention. Like there's a divine time that threads us to the experience of other lives, that a life is not necessarily a complete purpose or mission. It can be a part of another lifetime where we initiated a project or a purpose, and it may require more than one lifetime. That's the thread of the stars. We may have had to come back in a different time to learn something that's needed now, and hence the learning that's required, because this isn't the time in which we may have developed a amazing gift or facility that is useful that we chose to bring into this lifetime. So this is to say that the truth is not linear, even if we attempt to approach it with our rationality and our logic. And that is useful in detaching us from our feelings so that we can be curious without being judgmental, with compassion. And so this is one of your current strengths right now. The place to know that if you have a question, if you're not sure about something, you can easily manufacture the conditions under which you can obtain the answer that is right for you, that aligns you with your truth. And this is a process and an experience that you can share with others. In fact, in many decks, the hermit is on a solitary foot and has yet to proceed down the mountainside away from the sanctuary on the next foot. So moving into motion, he's poised on one foot because he's poised for action. And that action is going to precipitate change because you are changed through this process. And in the future, the Ace of Cups. This is really beautiful. This is really, really touching me. This is showing me that you are fully aware, that you are consciously moving towards making space in your life to balance with love, to give and receive with equity, with compassion, with anticipation of the tremendous work and service that you are better enabled to do through this experience of healing. Many of you have never abandoned this idea of a kind of free-flowing love. This is about being in the flow of love, not necessarily defining it as a thing, but allowing it to fit itself to the need or the relationship that it attends to. And so for many of you, and those of you I'm speaking to, I think often have experienced a kind of romantic love. You may be romantics at some level. You may certainly be sensitives, intuitives, that's for sure. But this idea of a romantic love, and I'm not talking about Disney, I'm not talking about fantasy, I'm talking about this sort of awesome, enfolding love, a love that wraps you, that encompasses your experience and your intention, is something that has actually grown. It's growing as your capacity to receive it grows. So what a powerful outcome for you, Pisces. If this is resonating with you so far, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I thank you so much for being here, Pisces. And I appreciate all the ways that you support me. And so the Lord of Swords in the past is clarified by the Justice card and the Five of Water. The Hermit in the present is clarified by the Six of Water, it's Six of Cups, and the Chariot. And the Ace of Cups in the immediate future is clarified by the Hanged One, and the Page of Earth. Wow. Okay. It's interesting that each phase of your current timeline is marked by a major arcana, which is important because these are lessons that you have chosen in this lifetime, in this time period. So justice is really about understanding what you have experienced, what effort you've made, what place you've occupied in relationships, in a community, in a family, how you have belonged or sought to belong, and what you are deserving as a result of that effort. What is owed to you? This is about balancing the justice within you, finding the truth that helps you to heal this experience of grieving, remorse, loss, this heaviness that can cohere around experiencing some significant loss. And most of the loss that I'm sensing here is about the past. Experiences you cannot change, but that you are resolved to learn from. You're not uncomfortable with reviewing those, with talking about those, with plumbing them with your new sense of self reflection and honesty about your role, recognizing that there's a certain amount of intentionality that you've gained as a result of, in many cases, uh, uh, oppression or trauma or unhappy events that you have, I don't want to say alchemized, that you have transformed into a better understanding of who you are and what you need. So there's a way that you have healed not only the loss in relationship and transformed that into a sense of empowerment and being in control of yourself, but you have also recognized that the sense of heaviness is surrendered through a release with love. This idea of forgiveness doesn't quite work if we stay in judgment about those who disappointed us or those experiences that hurt us. Those have to be released with love. Those have to be released with compassion for others like us that didn't know any better, didn't think we deserved any better. In the present, the Hermit is clarified by the Six of Water and the Chariot. So this is pretty profound. You're recapturing the essence, the joy, the pleasure of some gift or talent that you've had. There may be a reconnection with a specific relationship or set of relationships that you are now clear and recognize the joy, the abundance, the empowerment in the gifts, the ability to exercise your gifts. There's a way in which you are completely focused on being uncomfortable in the most constructive way possible. You feel confident to move out of your comfort zone, that comfort zone that might have been the good old days and too bad that thing in the past didn't work out, so sad, so sad. You're moving away from that. You're releasing that. You're recognizing that within that experience or those experiences was a gift, a talent, a joy, a delight, an abundance that you experienced with ease, with pleasure, with playfulness. And that making more of that, building on that, this is 7 from 6, allows you to confidently move into territory that has been daunting for you in the past. Your courage is immense. You're going right to what is hard, and you're not flinching. You know that you're bigger. Your intention is bigger than the fears that you hold. And in this light, fear is confirming that something's important. Not just important to you, but important to the world. The world needs what you have. And in the future, the Ace of Cups is clarified by the Hanged One and the Page of Earth. This openness to love still requires, and you're aware of it, the sacrifice of an attachment to an old version of yourself, an old story that you told about yourself. Perhaps this is the loss of your youth or the loss of a significant love that you had once feared you could never recover, or that was lost forever. Or perhaps an incomplete love, a love that never really got off the ground, even if the bond was there and it was felt mutually. For whatever reason, physical circumstances, perhaps a great distance, this was never allowed to run its course. And as a result of that, it becomes mythical, it becomes a fantasy, it becomes more romantic, much better than it may ever have been in your mind and in your heart. However, you recognize that this distance, this delay, this ability to gain a higher perspective, to be compassionate towards you, others, and the circumstances where you experience loss, hurt, some kind of wounding, is something that you have to practice continually. This goes back to some kind of spiritual practice, meditation, routines in your life that keep you on course, that keep you grounded. That's where you realize and experience the love, the flow of love that never stays still. Water is always flowing. We're not into still water here. We're into the flow of love, the giving and receiving, the currents of that, and that's always adjusted. The Hanged One here can relate to a higher octave of love as it reduces to the number 3. The Empress card is our basic symbol cipher of empowered love, balanced love. The Hanged Man is about sacrificing that love, the sacrifices we make for love, the ways we allow ourselves, strive to change in order to better accommodate the fullest expression of love, something that benefits everyone involved. And that isn't always easy. So this is just boss. I am thrilled, Pisces. This is so lovely. I hope you gain some insight from this. Until next time, namaste.